This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Yes, indeed, today even. We rejoice as we gather to honor the life, 95 years, just shy of 96, and we mark the death of one of God's finest, Norman Laliberte. Welcome. Welcome to each of you who gather in this historic and sacred place, resting on our lovely peninsula in Nahant, Massachusetts. Welcome also to you who are joining us via Zoom. Here at the Nahant Village Church, we welcome you, no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey. In these next few hours, we belong together because Norman has made us his community of love. So thank you, Norman. We gather especially to cast a web of light and love around those who loved Norman most, those whom he loved most, those who will miss him until the blessed day they will join him again, his beloved wife, Laurel, his children, his sons, his daughters, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren. Although Norman lived only a month shy of 96 years, although he got more than most of us will get, the heart does not know this. The heart only recognizes gratitude for the love. The heart simultaneously feels the God, when will this pain end loss that you are experiencing? So count on this. We've got you. We've got you. People are here to hold you, not just today, but as it becomes weeks and months and years. For grief never ends, becomes more manageable, but never ends. But we've got you. We gather today also to remind ourselves that we are all just passing through here, this space from our births until our own deaths. And at moments like this, when life and death and new life kiss, there are two questions that surpass all others hands down. One, who do I love? And do they know it? And two, who loves me? And do I know it? And so perhaps one of the gifts, one of the final gifts that Norman is giving us today is to ask those questions and make the necessary changes if you need to. And so, my beloved community, in the next hour or so, you are my church, and I welcome you here. You are not spectators today. Sit up, expectantly, open your hearts, and be touched by the beauty of this sacred and historic place. Be touched by the art and the music surrounding us. Be touched by the presentations and memories that will make you want to be a better person. Enter this experience, my friends. Give yourself a gift in honor of Norman and allow yourself to be grasped by that which you cannot fully grasp, as Kierkegaard tells us. There is a lot of time in the next hour to walk down memory lane, to capture the outstanding professional qualities and contributions of Norman Laliberte. We will also hear from those who knew him personally and well. They will lift up for us the depth of his character and the impact of his remarkable love. We all felt it. Allow me, please, to offer you an insight that I'm not so sure others have shared with you. I believe the backdrop that sets this ordinary man on the path to greatness was his family of origin. Norman's family had meager means. They were impoverished. He was the oldest of 6 children, and he understood early on that he would have to work to help Rose and Romeo, his parents, provide for the needs of his family. And so even as a lad of 8, the Norman that we know at 95 came alive. He earned his first coins by lighting the fires in the Jewish households on Saturdays, and then crossing the aisles on Sundays to polish shoes outside the Catholic Church. Does not sound like the Norman you've met. Norman never forgot his humble beginnings. Without talking much about it, he was grateful for how his childhood shaped his character and grew him as a man of compassion and passion. His unostentatious beginnings did not diminish the man. As a matter of fact, it enlarged him. It taught him to balance his successes with a well-remembered dose of humility. And he carried that right up to the moment of his last breath. And so, thank you, Norman. We feel your presence here in the love and the energy of all gathered. Norman and I met regularly for coffee and trips into Boston to the art museums. Sometimes I even brought him to the church in Boston, which I remember. Quite frankly, when I was in the presence of Norman, I felt caressed by God. In my line of work, we say God is love. We don't say, if you notice, that God is like love. We say God is love. Therefore, whenever we experience love, we experience God. This is my belief. In conclusion, may I quote from one of my favorite authors, Ute Gfrerer, in his book, The Prophet. I believe this quote was penned for the likes of Norman Laliberte. quote. And think not you can direct the course of love. For love, if it finds you worthy, directs your course. Let us pray. O divine mystery, source of endless love, draw near, come close, pry open our hearts, that we may experience you as we listen to memories and remember Norman. Amen. And last reminder, intermittently throughout our time together today here and at the reception, the spirit or the memory of your loved one who is with Norman today will want to break through to you. Let it happen. Norman was a generous man, and he will easily share this day with your loved ones.
Thank you, Laurel and family, for the true privilege and honor of saying a few words about Norman Laliberte and the artist. I must admit, it's no small task to attempt to encapsulate the work of any exceptional visionary, especially Norman. So I reached out for some help. And I got it in abundance. So in advance, thank you, Laurel, and Leonie, and Laura, and Joe. Comments that you'll hear in a few minutes. Brilliant, intelligent, joyful, exuberant, masterful, prolific, fearless, inventive, abundantly generous, and filled with love. All the words that come to mind when I think about the art of Norman Laliberte. Laurel Ginelli, the now retired Dean of Montserrat College of Art, wrote, "The art of Norman Laliberte is distinctive for its enormous versatility, sophisticated sense of color and design, and an unbridled expression of joie de vivre. Printmaker, illustrator, graphic designer, textile artist, painter, and sculptor, Norman shifted easily between and across media. He was broadly trained in the fine and the applied arts, and possessed a keen appreciation for art history, world mythology, and folk art. Defined categorization clever abstractions from nature are both universal and personal. He tapped broad cultural sources to arrive at his own language. It combines archetypical life symbols, magic birds, giant flowers, protective mother goddesses, and sons, all combined with his own emotions. Above all, it was always color, exuberant color that communicates the unbounded energy of nature. It carries Norman's love and optimistic spirit to everything. Dear friend Landon Bradbury, the Foster Chair of Contemporary Art and Practice and Curator in Residence at Emerson. In summer of 2008, wrote the company show that she curated Norman's work. Dr. Bradbury writes, rich imagery contained with the works, lyrical, poetic, and evocative. The pieces are laden with a variety of symbols that make reference to a wide range of time periods and movements in art history. An inexhaustive reader, avid museum visitor, and world traveler, Laliberte freely interprets ancient cultures and their visual interpretations as source material. Inspirations include Aztec temples, Egyptian hieroglyphs, and classical statuary, but his works also betray an influence of Picasso and Robert Brush. The result is a lush, layered tapestry of exuberant color, symbolic form, and complex narrative. The late critic and gallerist Kristian added influences by Klee, Matisse, and Saint-Ouen. She wrote, between abstract and representational, Norman Laliberte's work choreographed a dance of being, somewhere between the world of dreams and that of reality. Using figurative elements as the base for abstraction, playfully evocative in spirit, they are excellent illustrations of mood and emotion, overcoming the descriptive elements themselves. Norman was prolific, and his work was widely recognized. He was featured internationally in over 150 solo shows, 151 main shows. Has been the subject of 5 retrospectives. As we all know, he first gained recognition as the design consultant for the Vatican Pavilion in the 1964 New York World's Fair, producing over 80 magnificent installed pianos. Numerous major and important commissions followed over the years, including locally, as we also know, that wonderful installation of Logan International Airport. As exotically and intoxicatingly beautiful as his work was, it was always about ideas. Highly educated and sought after as a teacher at top art and design schools. He was also the recipient of several honorary doctorates, including one from our own Montserrat College of Art. In part, that citation read, to see his paintings and other works of art is to witness a master artist, unmatched in using a nearly infinite color palette to create vibrancy, light, and life. In his fantastic fantasies, he has unfolded his own worldview of internal human dialogues, of rich sensuality, of unforgettable beauty. His testament to the supernal reality of transforming love. To see his work is to be immersed in a world of faith, eternal verities, represented in hues and colors that unleash deep emotions as they dazzle the eye and the heart. And they went on to say, equally important to the quality of his art is him as a human being. Norman embodied his own color and light. His soul as radiant as his art. To know him is to love and admire a great man. So Norman's art was and is as he was. I'll repeat the words I started. Norman was brilliant, intelligent, joyful, exuberant, masterful, prolific, fearless, inventive, abundantly generous, and filled with love. Abundantly generous and filled with love. That is what I believe will remain his enduring legacy. So I leave you with a quote from many of the hardest books that Norman produced. A short poem offered in one word, pages and poems celebrating love. It's a poem by Bob Reich, with whom he collaborated. Norman paired this poem with a work he created entitled Summer Banquet. The poem represents how I think about the art of Norman. Love is a summer banquet. I'm sorry. Love is a summer bouquet. A barrage of colors and scents picked with attentiveness, cut with consideration, and arranged with affection. Love is a collection of petals. All love me and no love me not.
I'm Anne Carter Aitken, part of the Nahant family. The magic of Norman. I'm looking back over 40 years of knowing Norman, Laurel, and then Kristian. And I'm well aware that that's less than half of Norman's full and exuberant life. But with Norman, the number of years was insignificant. He never cared or even knew how old he was. I wasn't privileged to know Norman in the first part of his life, but I'm willing to bet he was our sane Norman, from his eye-watering socks up. And I feel for his earlier family and their sense of loss. Norman never lost touch with the magical world of a child, even though his own childhood was short on luxuries. Didn't we all hear those stories of walking barefoot to school in the snow, 3 miles or 6 miles? But we saw the child in the joyful expression of his art, his wonder and his glee, his total disregard for sophistication, his impish, mischievous humor, and his delight in the young. What other parent started the day gathering a heap of new diapers for his baby and decorating them with glorious artistry? Did any child in the world have a more beautiful crib than that colourful dream of a creation he built for baby Kristian? And how typical of Norman that as he built and created that fantastic crib down in the basement, it never crossed his mind that it wouldn't fit through the door. So he had to break it up to move it upstairs. And he laughed about that. Our children grew up pretty much as siblings. We often vacationed together. And for years, we'd head out to dinner together at least once a week. At the Tides, the golf course, Wayloos, all the fancy spots. But we didn't care where. Norman, at our end of the table, would pull out his pen and start drawing on napkins, menus, tablecloth. And the children at the other end would follow suit, deeply absorbed with their crayons or their felt tips. Norman with his Beck's beer, kids with their Shirley Temples. Norman with his hamburger, well done, burnt preferably. And Kristian with his white bread, white rice, and maybe chicken tender, chattering non-stop. Kristian could get just a little bit excitable at times, but all it took was a quiet, down boy from Norman to rein him back in. And then those vacations, arriving somewhere and trying to work out whether the bus or train was cheaper, and Norman saying, "Just take the stretch limo." The rapture on the children's faces as they lounged in that ridiculous vehicle almost made the cost worthwhile, and Norman beamed. That was the vacation when Norman took the children down the wrong ski trail. After a long and fruitless search, the rest of us repaired to the ski lodge for lunch. There in the corner sat Norman, surrounded by giggling children, a large brown paper bag over his head. He knew how to avoid trouble. He knew what made children happy because he was still such a kid at heart. One year, when it was my turn to plan the vacation, I thought it would be fun for the children to make it a surprise trip to an undisclosed destination. They'd just get a packing list. When I suggested this to Norman and Laurel, Norman immediately said, "Don't tell me where, I want a surprise too." Just as we departed on a 2-week trip, a friend called Laurel a little anxious. "Is Norman okay?" "Yes, why?" "Well, I asked him where he's going next week, and he said he didn't know." And we're hoping to check in at the airport. Norman wouldn't go up to the agent. Finally, when the agent insisted he come to the desk, he said, "You can check me in, but don't tell me where I'm going. This is a surprise." I wonder what he said when he arrived at the early gates. And then those endless summer afternoons by the pool, playing backgammon with anyone who came by, watching the children. Of course, only one eye was on the children, the other on any young woman in a bikini. But there never was a child like Norman. He was the mother hen. I lost all the children once on the Lynn beach, absorbed in my book while they ran off together. Norman showed up, gave me a withering set down, and never quite trusted me again. But he certainly didn't trust God either. We have many, many children whose lives Norman touched would be hard put to explain just what made him such a mighty influence. He led by example, not by words. No one loved his daily work more than Norman did. He was passionate about it, reveled in it, and he showed the children, it's all right to do what you love, just do it every day and enjoy it all the time. Work at it your way, work hard, you'll be great. We never thought this day would come, that we'd be gathered to celebrate Norman without him. It is heartbreaking, and most of all for his nearest and dearest. There is an unbearable sense of loss. To quote from a gentleman in Moscow, and that is just how it should be. That sense of loss is exactly what we should anticipate, prepare ourselves for, and cherish to the last days of our life, for it is only our heartbreak that refutes all that is ephemeral in love. We are left with the heartbreak, but also with the magic of Norman, the memories, the colour. Chris Martin wrote, Norman had an insatiable need to paint, to smother a grey world with colour. Not many of us can claim at the gates of heaven that we left the world a brighter place than we encountered at birth. Thank you, Norman.
I met Norman 16 years ago. I remember it really well. I was at a banquet with my husband, and I didn't know anybody then because I just arrived from Europe. And all of a sudden, I see this man on the other table. He had this amazing set of hair. And I said to my husband, look at this guy. He's wearing a headpiece. Crystal said, no, it's not there. That's his hair. I said, no, it cannot be his hair. Nobody can have hair like that. I said, no, Ute, I know him. He's a famous artist. He lives in Nahant, and his wife gives him a haircut. Since then, we had many encounters. And Norman and Laurel always came to all my concerts. And whenever I sang this one particular song, he just loved it so much. And I actually have a thank you note at home where he used the lyrics of the song and was writing, you know, Norman style, right? The birds, the flowers, the hearts. So this is a song I want to sing today for Norman and all of you, and Laurel, of course. And the words of this song, they are very, very beautiful. When he takes me in his arms, I see my world in pink. He speaks words to me, everyday words, and they do something to me. He entered my heart. He is part of my happiness. He is the reason for my happiness. He swore to me, it's me for him and he for me, for the rest of our lives. When I sing, I feel my heart beating. Can I have sound on the mic? We need a real musician.
Des yeux qui font saigner, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche. Voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas. Je vois la vie en rose. Et petit mot d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, ça me fait quelque chose. Il entre dans mon corps une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, il a dit, il a juré pour la vie. Et que je l'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui bat. Des nuits d'amour finies, un grand bonheur qui prend sa place, les ennuis, les chagrins s'effacent. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas. Je vois la vie en rose. Et petit mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est toi, la dès que je m'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui
that was simply magical. And, all I would say is, Edith, who's Edith? So, I've been asked, granted the honor, Laurel, thank you for being able to say a few words today. And on the lighter side, so it was a few weeks ago, I've been on a diet ever since. I hope I look okay. So a few notes, first of all, my name is Miceal Chamberlain, and my wife Nancy and I have known and treasured our friendship with Norman and Laurel that spans over 55 years. So I've beaten everybody else here. Norman was, these are his glasses that Laurel gave to me that were meant for Laurel, meant for Norman. But Norman, as we all know, was not, and we've heard it today, is not a one-dimensional guy. It's so many qualities to love and admire. For us, he was a walking tapestry of beauty and joy. For you, Laurel and Kristian, you were clearly the jewel in his life. Today, I want to talk about the fun side of Norman. As I think of it, it was always fun. No matter what, it was always fun. So many fabulous get-togethers. And in terms of full disclosure, I want everyone here to know that I was honored to be his wingman. Maybe a better way to describe it was his understudy would be more accurate. And I enjoyed every minute. There's one particular story I'd like to share with you today. As most of you know, his art was full of life, particularly the female and male anatomy. You might know where this is going. He always carried a pen. And if he didn't have a canvas, he certainly knew how to improvise. So, the story goes, my wife Nancy and I are having a 40th birthday party for our oldest son, Miceal, and his wife, Shelby. And we had it held at our home in Chestnut Hill. And of course, with all of our children, Norman and Laurel were at the top of the invitation list always. So here we are. The stage is set. There are 40 plus year old women who were ecstatic to have a night out. Norman is literally going to have a, let me assure you, he was not the only one either. By the way, there were guys there also, of course. Shortly into the party, Norman went to work. Out came the magic pen. And he began to draw this most beautiful large object on Miceal, our son's shirtless back. Pretty interesting party at that point. He was fully in charge. Now, if anyone needs further clarification on that point, you might want to come and see me at the reception to share. Trust me, he was not finished. Midway into the party, Norman moved on to the women. He started to paint hearts on both breasts of this woman. That was literally, were beautiful. I have pictures of it. I should have brought clothes. And right here, and then connected it with little dots, one right and left. It was beautifully, beautifully done. Well, women started to line up. some got hearts, and some got those beautiful birds that only he knew how to fly. Oh, to be an artist. Oh, to be Norman. I always wanted to be Norman. With a twinkle in his eyes and a smile of contentment, Norman is busy at work. I swear every guy in the place was jealous, and if he needed an assistant, every hand would have gone. We all have had wonderful moments with the artist with a heart of gold and an incredible zest for life. We heard that today already. I'm probably going to do more. Aldous Huxley, the British author, could have written this quote for Norman. It goes like this: the secret of genius is to carry the spirit of the child into old age, which means never losing your enthusiasm. That he never lost. Among many other great qualities Norman had, he did this brilliantly. Life will never be quite the same without him.
All right. Kristian tells me that Norman told him that if he were to ever write a song for Laurel, this would be it. So to an extraordinary life, an extraordinary love. This is called Perfect. I found a love for me. Darling, just dive right in. Follow my lead. I found a girl, beautiful and sweet. I never knew you were the someone waiting for me. We were just kids when we fell in love. Not knowing what it was, I will not give you up this time. Darling, just kiss me slow. Love is all I know. And in your eyes, your hope in mine. Baby, I'm standing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the grass, listening to our favorite song. And when you said you looked a mess, I whispered underneath my breath, but you heard it, darling, you look perfect tonight. I found a woman stronger than anyone I know. She shared my dreams, I hope to someday share her home. Oh, and I found a love to carry more than just my secrets, to carry love, to carry children of our own. 'Cause we are still kids, but we're so in love, fighting against all odds. I know we'll be alright. Yes, time, darling, just hold my hand. Be my girl, I'll be your man in your future. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the ground, listening to our favorite song. When I saw you in that dress, in service, darling, you look perfect tonight. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark, you between my arms, barefoot on the grass, listening to our favorite song. I have faith in what I see. Now I know I have met an angel person. She looks perfect. I don't deserve this. You look perfect tonight.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nicholas. I'm the youngest son of Norman's children from his first marriage. With me today are my two brothers, Jesse and John. So in addition to Kristian, all of Dad's sons are here today, which I know would have made them very happy. He would have loved to have his two daughters here today as well, Miceal and Willy, but unfortunately, they were unable to attend. We're going to go back a few years. My earliest memories of Dad were in the studio, which at the time was on the third floor of the house. I would watch him cut fabric to make banners and would play in the large wicker basket where he threw his butter remnants. I was always amazed at how fast he worked. Never any hesitation, each cut exactly as he wanted it. Of course, as my brothers will not too fondly remember, they were tasked with pinning the fabric down. He and I were always the first two people up in the mornings, and on Sundays, we would drive to the local market where Dad would buy his newspaper and coffee and buy donuts for me. When he cut the grass on the rider mower, I would sit on his lap. To this day, I remember so well the smell of cut onion grass and apples. It was like that, our rituals together. I always look forward to them. My father would throw incredible parties that were always memorable. He would invite writers, artists, and musicians who would travel up from New York City. On winter nights, my dad would line the driveways with torches so people could go sledding. Invariably, someone would find a piano, and everyone would gather around and begin to sing. Obla-dee, obla-da, life goes on. Oh, how the life goes on. That was one of my dad's favorite expressions. After our parents separated, I would spend many summers here in Nahant, playing endless games of backgammon on the beach with my dad. Laura would bring us a picnic lunch. One great story I remember was at 40 Steps Beach when Dad forgot his babies. Laura brought one from the house, and Dad proceeded to change right there on the beach without a care in the world. He faced away from the beach, which meant he was facing the road. And I was mortified. We would then go back to the house and play cards, and Dad would sometimes try to cheat, which I always thought was funny because I would catch him and he would still deny it. Another one of our issues. My daughter now cheats me when we play cards, so I guess it must run in the family. As an adult, I recall the day I told Dad that my wife and I were expecting our first child. His reply was of true joy. Today you are a man, he said, but struck me as odd, since I was 38 at the time. I said, damn, I thought, what took me so long? It's hard to think of Norman and not smile. He was so exuberant and funny, moving around with such boundless energy. I wish I had half his energy. For me, my dad was always larger than life, and someone who always inspired awe in me. His passion for life is what I will remember most and what I hope most to emulate. I was fortunate enough to have seen Norman this past August. Upon saying goodbye, I gave him a big hug. He said, "Wow, that was a good hug." So Dad, I know you are watching. I love you, I miss you, and I am giving you another big hug.
First off, I want to thank the speakers and the musicians for capturing my dad so perfectly. Thank you, Reverend Patricia, whom my dad so adored. Bill, Steve, Katharina, and Ute, Tanya, Miceal, Chad, and Nicholas. My mother and I appreciate the time you took to help us celebrate Norman today. And for everyone who's here, I can unequivocally say that he loved every one of you. Someone told me recently that she knew what it was like to lose a giant father. She understood the surreal nature of that loss and the fact that it may have been their time to pass, but it wasn't our time to do so. And my dad was a giant of a man, with a personality that made instantaneous connections with people. Strangers became lifelong friends within sentences. Chance encounters led to decades of correspondence. He never failed to leave a museum or a coffee shop without a collection of numbers and addresses. As a child, I didn't realize that this was out of the ordinary. The world didn't run on no strings attached kindness, endless curiosity, and unlimited autonomy. I didn't realize that everyone didn't have a studio in their house. The studio was like going down a road and making money and happiness. You left your glass and your praise at the door and entered a world where anything was possible, where laughter was the only currency. You never ever left without paint on your hands. I had no idea that handing out thousands of scribbles and napkins or writing thousands of typewritten letters, the stickers, no less, was atypical. There's not a waitress from here to Paris that doesn't have an original or a grieving widow or an aspiring artist that didn't expect weekly missives, or a enriching them with quotes and poems and his perfectly ungrammatical English. That new horizons still exist, that no star is too high to reach. When he died, many of those recipients got in touch with my mother and me, many of them who we did not know. We didn't expect that they would remember a drawing he made 2 decades ago, or that he'd taken someone to a museum that changed their entire life's trajectory, or that joined them for pastries and black coffee. And Dad's favorite meal on the planet, and engaged in conversation that they remember to this day. Artists reached out to, artists he had sent paid to at the beginning of their careers. My God, the amount of people he taught backhand to, they all had a story to share. A former student swore that I was born when I met Laliberte. And one woman told us when her mother was diagnosed with cancer, terminal, went to her every day for 6 months. Her daughter said that her mother only had a month to live, but the excitement of going to the post office and getting her daily Laliberte kept her alive long after she was supposed to die. The daughter reluctantly asked if we would like to have the letters. We needed them to mourn our grief, to process our grief. Noah replied, "You keep them, but can you please just read one for me? Thinking of you as the sun streams into the city when we started." He then went on to quote the Little Prince. "If a person loves a flower that is the only one of its kind on all the millions and millions of stars, then gazing at the night sky is enough to make them happy. What," he asked to her, "is your favorite flower?" He always finished every letter with onward and a bientôt, followed by that flourish of his signature that somehow impossibly captured the exuberance in every pen stroke. When I went to boarding school, he wrote me every day for 2 years, 360 days of onwards and outwards. $1 here and there, 20 days, particularly in this. My friends couldn't believe I got so much now. What was that? My dad, of course, they didn't understand why. What could he possibly have to say to me? And there was always the invariable, "Are you sure he's not from your mom?" Because for the most part, they didn't have fathers who were unashamed of their unpromotiveness, who took their kids to the MFA as much as they could handle, who bought them any and every book as fast as they could read it. And unlike many people, my dad was exactly who he was. He was 100% comfortable in his own skin. He didn't change his personality for anyone, didn't alter himself to appeal to this group or that group. And he treated everyone the exact same. He had the same joy for each human that crossed his path, whether it was an important client or someone who just met on an elevator. For him, he painted like that too, just the way he wanted to, with no thought of critics or customers. For him, all that mattered was the colors to the painting, but the colors to the amazing feats he orchestrated, that what the viewer saw brought happiness. Like his paintings, his smile was infectious. I can't tell you how many people have texted or emailed or called and said, "I remember those smiles and I treasure them." One friend once said, "I know your dad doesn't smoke weed. It certainly seems like he's smoking the best joint in the world." When I was going through a tough time, and Dad looked at me, really looked, you know when someone really looks at you, and he said, with unvarnished conviction, "Kristian, the world still needs you. It needs your pinks and blues, your yellows and greens. Your painting isn't finished, but when it is, it will be a masterpiece." His masterpiece was that he saw the world in breathtaking technicolor and translated strokes of pure dopamine onto canvases that were a direct line to joy. According to Picasso, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once you grow up. But my dad never lost, as many people have said today, his sense of childhood wonder, the joy for simply being alive. He never stopped seeing the beyond those. And he never took life for granted. He always felt lucky to be able to witness the small wonders of the world, whether it was spring daffodils or fresh summer corn. Would constantly ask, aren't we the luckiest people alive? First and foremost, in that life was my mother. It was the great love of his life. And he would ask, isn't she beautiful? Who cooks like her? Who dresses like her? Who else think of the parents would have this much fun? Aristotle said, love is composed of a single soul inhabiting two bodies. And that was the story of Laura and Moon. They were the perfect partnership, believed the same things, wanted the same things, lived and breathed culture, shared an addiction to travel, and of course the cocktail hour. But seriously, I want to thank my mom. I don't even know how to thank her for the superhuman effort she made preserving his lifestyle to be. Thank you, Mom. While the world seems a little less colorful right now, I know my dad is out there somewhere painting the sunsets.
We heard so much about Norman and his incredible capacity to love. And so Immerman is also such a fitting song. And the last, I'm just going to tell you the last line of the song. It says, God reunites those who love each other.
Le ciel bleu sur nous peut s'effondrer et la terre peut bien s'écrouler. Par la montagne, si tu pleures, je me fous du monde entier. J'irai jusqu'au bout du monde, je me ferai entendre dans le monde, si tu me le demandais. J'irai décrocher la lune et j'irai voler l'aventure, si tu me le demandais. attendant pour l'éternité dans le bleu de toute l'immensité. Dans le ciel, plus d'un bonheur. If the sun should tumble from the sky, if the sea should suddenly run dry, if you love me, really love me, then what I don't care. Shall I catch a shooting star? Shall I bring it where you are? If you want me to, I will. You can set me any task, I'll do anything you ask. If you only love me still. When at last our life on earth is through, I will share eternity with you. If you love me, really love me, then whatever happens, I don't care. Dans le ciel, plus d'un bonheur. Qui
I feel that Norman's final gift to us is this experience of what religious communities can be if we allow it. We allow music and beauty and love and singing and stories to wrap us in love. We look for those that are vulnerable for the moment, and we hold them up because we know if we live long enough, we'll take turns leaning and holding. So thank you, Norman. We gather here, believers, non-believers. We gather here all generations, and we say, thank you. This is what Jesus had in mind, and he was never Whoops. Let us pray. O most Holy One, we believe that life has not ended for Norman Laliberte. It has changed, not ended. Welcome him into your mercy and love, and into his eternal home among the saints. Spirit of truth and wisdom, teach us not to hold on to life too tightly. Teach us to hold it lightly, not carelessly, but lightly. And when our particular sunset comes, oh God, direct us to graciously bow in thanksgiving, no matter how many years we've had. And then, with trusting expectation, return to your unending love and in the company of all saints. Amen. Little announcement during these times of pandemics. I will escort the family out of the church first. Please remain in your pews until the deacon guides you out, starting from the back pews, making their way up to the front. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. And then please join the family at their home to continue our church hour. And now, receive this ancient blessing found in our sacred texts. It remains ever new. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May God look upon you with kindness and grant you peace. And may you behold God beholding